Hello and welcome to HITC Sport. Right, can all these rich owners, the chief execs, the directors, can they all please stop trying to fix football? Christ, this past week's been tiring. It's been impossible to keep up with all the football and reforms. By the time the League Cup kicks off, they'll probably have reformed the whole game to ensure that the ball's made of gold and that each team gets £1 billion no matter what. Either that or a lifetime supply of Carabao. Has anyone actually had Carabao before? I've got a tin lying around somewhere, but it's about 3 years out of date. I'm a little bit scared to open it in fear of turning it the three-eyed fish from The Simpsons. Things all kicked off last weekend as news of a reported European Super League interrupted a drab Super Sunday and ensured no one suddenly cared about actual football. Gary Neville was bursting his first blood vessel of the week while the world was waiting for the league to be officially confirmed. Then buried on Sunday night came the news that 12 of Europe's elite clubs were going to form a breakaway league known as the European Super League. Every club released the same statement and a press release went round that honestly looked like it'd been put together by your little brother for his ICT homework. I mean, what was that logo? It was like piss and word art that the teachers used to always tell you off for. Bloody killjoys. The backlash was immediate and relentless. There were t-shirts, banners, calls to arms on Monday Night Football in between a game of football that, if anything, just got in the way of the discussion. There were statements from clubs, statements from corporations, statements from the government, all condemning the European Super League that threatened to take football away from the people who made it what it is today. There were protests at Stamford Bridge, there was Thogden there for some reason, there was Petr Cech trying to calm the whole thing down. Things were so rowdy, he probably should have been wearing his helmet. Then things quickly began to unravel. Chelsea dropped out, Man City dropped out, and my Wednesday video was in absolute tatters. Forget about the European Super League, I was an absolute mess. If you thought Florentino Pérez was sweating when news broke of Chelsea dropping out, you should have seen my face. And sure, he lost his proposed Super League that probably would have earned him billions, but that's nothing. I was on the brink of having no video for Wednesday morning and having the angry boss from HITC banging on my door begging for answers. But we got there in the end, the video went up with a few adjustments, and there was only like a minute where I sound like an absolute tit saying surely the Super League was certain to happen. Turns out terrible predictions are just a constant theme on this channel. I mean, most of what I said still stood. The whole thing was a terrible idea and greed is trying to kill football. But would I have preferred the whole thing to have still gone ahead so my video made sense? No, of course, now thank goodness the whole thing fell through. But let's be frank here, this isn't the end of it. Somewhere down the line, another one of these European Super League things will be proposed. And anyway, it's not like the new Champions League plans are a beacon of hope and light that will lead us into a new and prosperous era of football where we right the wrongs in the world and sing Kumbaya. It's just another cash grab where we soak up the Gazprom fuels and get pissed on Heineken. This new Champions League is just a lighter version of the European Super League. It's a bit less radical. Sure, it's not going to kill football like the ESL threatened to do, but it's still going to give a ridiculous advantage to historic clubs who are somehow failing in the modern day. I'm sorry, but you should not be rewarded for your history, you should be rewarded for your performances. The fact UEFA think it's sound just to hand out an extra couple of places in the competition to teams who've completely failed is ridiculous. Stop rewarding failure just so you can sell more tickets, you greedy bastards. If Real Madrid come 7th in La Liga, tough. They don't deserve Champions League football. They should have to settle for the Europa League, just like the rest of us minnows. Just because they've won 13 Champions Leagues doesn't mean they should have a divine right to be in it every year. They've got to earn it. And to be honest with you, the fact that it's going to be one big group is just a bit odd. So it's one big league, but you don't play everyone, the top teams advance, and then the next few down go into some sort of playoff to decide who goes into the normal knockout stages. Honestly, it's easy to win Takeshi's Castle, and I've only ever seen that happen once. One person who isn't happy with the new Champions League format is Ilkay Gundogan, who tweeted, "With all the Super League stuff going on, can we please also speak about the new Champions League format? More and more games, is no one thinking about us players? The new UCL format is just the lesser of the two evils in the comparison to the Super League." I mean, he has got a point, but I wouldn't worry too much about it, Ilkay. You'll probably get a load of new teammates to help cover the extra load. You know, considering apparently you're getting a load more cash to play in this competition. Yes, it's great that the European Super League has been stopped, but we're still getting this in its place. UEFA are not the good guys here, and neither are the clubs who pulled out of the European Super League. I mean, all the grovelling and apologising has been embarrassing over the past few days. The apologies don't really mean anything. Of course they're going to say sorry. They're going to say sorry so you get over it and go back to the club shop and buy an expensive shirt with either Saka or Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on the back of it. Preferably the latter, because that'll cost a lot more. They're only apologising because they got caught. Like, surely if there hadn't been all the backlash, the European Super League would still be going ahead. So all the apologies, while yes, it's a nice gesture to a certain extent, but they don't mean anything, it doesn't change anything. They still did what they did, they got caught, or outed themselves really, and now they're begging for forgiveness. It's like someone getting caught out for cheating on the girlfriend and promising they'll never do it again. They were sorry, they didn't mean it, they're the only one for them. And Oh, hang on, he's just got another text. It's off Cassandra. Another girl he was cheating on you with. Bit awkward now. Maybe don't accept that apology. As a wise woman once said, don't tell me you're sorry because you're not. Baby, when you know you're only sorry, you got caught. Do you know who said that? Rihanna. And people said she was just a big pair of tits. We've had John Henry's awkward apology that some people actually complained about because he was reading off a script. I mean, come on guys, I don't think that's the right hill to die on here. Then there was a statement from one of the Glazers, and that didn't really get anywhere either because hours later the fans were breaking at the training ground and protesting. If they'd been there any longer, Ollie would have asked one of them if they could do a job at centre-back. There's also been reports of CEOs of the big 6 clubs phoning up the other 14 clubs to apologise. I mean, you can only imagine how well that went. Hi, is that Tony from Fulham? Tony, you old mucker, how you getting on, mate? It's Vinay from Arsenal. The CEO? You know Arsenal, the Gunners? You know who I mean. Yeah, that's the one, the ones who you drew 1-1 with at the weekend. Yeah, the team that tried to break away into European Super League decided not being able to beat a relegation threatened team. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, how you getting on? Yeah, like, as I say, I'm really sorry for all about that stuff, you know. One thing led to another, the next I'm signing a £350 million deal and the whole world wants me to burn. Like I say, I'm really sorry. Can we just forget all about it? Good. Look, we'll catch up next season, yeah? Providing you stay up. Oh, he's gone. Right, who's next on the list? Mike Ashley. That is helpful. I do need some socks and some tennis rackets. But while some people are apologising, others just aren't giving up. Florentino Pérez is probably trying to work on some cloning device so we can have 2 Real Madrid teams playing at once. There were no apologies from Barcelona president Joan Laporta, who stated that the European Super League was a necessity. I mean, it's only a necessity because you've got no money, and that's because you spent years spunking cash on Coutinho, Dembele, Griezmann, De Jong, all to no avail. Seriously, I know it was a nightmare losing Neymar, but spending even more money clearly wasn't the answer. It's like me complaining I've got nowhere to put my car after I smashed up my garage with a sledgehammer. Christ, this is quite heavy actually. There's no wonder Triple H used to win all the time using it. But as we wait for the fallout of the European Super League to continue, a new league has been proposed in the British press, with the Sun of all people claiming that the Premier League is going to be reformed into the British Super League. I mean, as soon as you saw that scabby red top, you should have assumed it was a load of crap. But we need to talk about something, so let's have a look at why the British Super League is another terrible idea. Yes, you can argue that Cardiff and Swansea are in the English Football League despite being Welsh, but that doesn't mean we can just include Celtic and Rangers and all. Swansea and Cardiff have been in the English League since the 20s, like over 100 years ago. In contrast, Celtic and Rangers have got steeps of history north of the border. They build their own legacy, they compete in their own league. The issue is they no longer make as much money and there's not a lot of competition from the other clubs in Scotland. Yeah, from a Celtic and Rangers perspective, they'd probably love to play in a British Super League. It would create some huge games, some incredible atmospheres. The fans up north of the border are so passionate. But what about the rest of Scottish football? I mean, Aberdeen might win the league, so that's great for them, but it's basically what would have happened in the Premier League if the Big Six had gone. Yeah, it might have survived, but it wouldn't have been as competitive as it once was, and I can guarantee you there wouldn't be as much money going back into the Scottish game as there would be the English. The report from the Sun stated that the other Scottish clubs would be happy for Celtic and Rangers to go, as it would give them a much better chance of getting in the Champions League. But I don't think that's going to matter when Motherwell make it into the first qualifying round and they get an absolute pumping from some Bulgarian brutes. And anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This isn't going to happen. This kind of thing's been proposed since the dawn of time. Every year there's something new. Celtic and Rangers are coming to England. The old firm teams should be in the Prem. It's a load of rubbish. It's not happening. So Celtic, you just focus on getting your title back, and Rangers, you worry about defending it before you lose Steven Gerrard to someone else. This week we've had 1,000,001 men in suits trying to fix football, but none of them are actually tackling the real issues. Fixing football does not mean let's find a way of making the rich clubs even richer and ensure that no matter how well the others play, they can't catch us. Fixing football shouldn't be about helping the big boys, it should be about helping everyone, particularly the clubs lower down who need the help. Clubs should be living within their means. The pandemic has hit teams incredibly hard financially, but it's hit the smaller clubs even harder in the pocket. Yes, it's disappointing for Man United or whoever if they can't afford to spend £100 million on Jadon Sancho. But it's more disappointing for a team lower down the football ladder who are struggling to pay the wages or just keep the lights on. Fixing football should be about making a fairer game for everyone involved. It shouldn't be about getting the biggest sponsors, the biggest TV deal, because that then leads to bigger contracts, bigger transfers, and an unsustainable model that only serves to benefit the big boys who think they deserve to be at the top. Fixing football should be about taking a harder stance on racism, whether it's committed by a player or a spectator, not a fan, because they are definitely not fans. Lifetime bans, huge fines, proper education, clamping down on the issue of racism in social media that's just getting worse and worse each passing week. It's 2021, racism should not be an issue at all, but unfortunately it's massive. We can't ignore the problem, we can't run away from it. It is plaguing society and football just shines a light on that. We should be protecting fans' interests, we should be making ticketing affordable, 20's plenty, that should be across the board. We shouldn't be moving games just a few weeks in advance to suit the broadcasters, we should be putting the fans in attendance first. Think about how they're going to get there, think how they're going to get back. Not thinking about what the best time is to get Gary Neville in front of the nation shouting about whatever he's annoyed about this week. Even VAR, that doesn't protect fans' interests. The Premier League are lucky there's been no fans in grounds this season, as the way they've handled VAR has been ridiculous. All the delays, all the crazy decisions, simply because now we've got a man in front of a monitor micro-analysing every minor detail of the game. We should be seeing more money invested in the women's game. We should be seeing the women in the men's game being treated equally. Not squawking anytime someone like Alex Scott does anything and just denouncing whatever it is they do simply because they're a woman. There should be more scrutiny on the people buying clubs, particularly in the AFL, and the PFA need to be doing more to protect players, especially when they hang up their boots. The government should be doing more, not just using the European Super League to score points from the common man. Football was very nearly taken away from us this week, as greedy owners look to line their pockets at our expense. And it'll happen again, give it a few months, a few years maybe, but along the lines there will be another proposal like the European Super League. Sure, that might be the proposal that can fix football, but unless it tackles some of the issues that I've just stated, then it's not really fixing football at all. It's just making the richer clubs even richer than they already are. So there we have it, that is the end of the video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe here to HITC Sport. And until next time, we will see you around.